I tried to get a hair transplant before this started, but they wouldn't let me get an appointment so quick.
Well, now everybody sees why Mark's in real estate.
Why is that?
The comedy thing ain't working, man.
Oh, right. I try. 2 shows nightly at the Pacoima Hilton. Uh-oh, I'm frozen. Oh, there we go.
I do hear some distortion also a little bit.
On Mark, yeah.
On me? Let me try doing this. Tell me. Hold on.
Okay, Tal, confirm that you could see us live on YouTube and Facebook. Hey, Dee, how are you?
I could try going with a headset. Maybe it'll sound better.
Put us in your cup holder.
You are in my cup holder. Hold on, let me try it this way. Hold on. Does that take it down a little bit?
I think so.
I got a headset in now, so we'll see how that works.
Okay, Chuck, I'm gonna work on making sure this looks. Yep, we're live. We're good to go. Chuck, take it away.
Okay, welcome to Rubbing Elbows. We've got the dynamic duo, Marc and Ken, top producers, relentless marketing team, and highly trusted agents in at least Tarzana South is I know one area you guys farm really, really well. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. We paid him well to say that.
Yes, please Venmo.
Check is in the mail, Sir Chuck. Check is in the mail.
Venmo me. So we have a few questions. We have all types of people that join us, new agents, old agents, agents looking to level up, you know, escrow people, loan people, title people. I guess my first question is market conditions. That seems to be something that's a kind of reoccurring question.
Well, before we get into market questions and maybe some specifics, I personally would love to hear your story, how you guys got together, how you even got into real estate, if you don't mind sharing your story with us.
Sure.
Mark's got seniority. He goes first.
No, well, briefly, I've been pretty much full-time in real estate since the early 90s, about 95, kind of kicked in full-time. Ken was in another world. He came in to real estate sometime in 2000. I was with a Coldwell banker, and I knew his wife for many years. So we kind of, came to ask me a bunch of questions about real estate, get in the business, blah, blah, blah. One thing led to another. I've never in my life ever wanted or searched for a partnership, and it just kind of happened. We were both very heavy into working expired listings. We were both being coached by the same people. We ended up getting paired together on this new housing project in Woodland Hills. And then from there, it just it happened, and here we are 12 some odd years later, still doing it. Boom.
Nice.
Still driving each other crazy.
So
let me get into the next question.
Sure.
That's good because we have to know where you're coming from. We always love hearing people's journeys and things like that. What would you say is like the best benefit of being in a team? Like how it's you guys, it's a 2-man team, but obviously you've got other, I'm sure, admins or whatever. What's the benefits?
The biggest benefit is that one person gets to do all the work and the other person just gets to kick back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, the reality is for us, we both have completely different strengths. So when I got into real estate in 2007, like Mark said, we both had the same coaching program, Mike Ferry. And it just seemed like we were going on a lot of appointments against each other. And inevitably, it was either him or myself that was getting them. So, at the end of the day, having both of us there, if they don't gravitate to one of us, then they gravitate to the other one. So hopefully we're losing a lot less now than we would have in the past.
So you guys are.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you guys are obviously top producers now, very successful, and you have I'm assuming a flow, a strategy, a team around you. But when you got started, how did you generate business? How did you get out there and really create a brand for yourself?
Well, I mean, like, again, we both were really hardcore into, very actively prospecting expired listings for sale by owners, the old faithful, the basics. And then it kind of, grew from there. We took on a farm together in Tarzana, south of the Boulevard, and we started to work that very aggressively. Not just with mailing, but getting out off. And to this day, we have a nice bulk of our business going. It really kind of took off from there.
You guys used to do the golf cart thing, right?
Still do.
Still do. Yeah.
Tell us
Still
about
do.
that. Tell us about that.
Well, nowadays we're not doing it, unfortunately, just because of, the appropriateness of it. But yeah, I mean, it's been, when you talk about branding, for us, is a fantastic brand. Everybody in Tarzana knows us as the guys in the golf cart. And we started it because you don't want to walk up and down streets in Tarzana. That's like streets in San Francisco. So we ended up with the golf cart, and it just turned into a thing to where when we knock on doors and people say, "Hey guys, your golf cart with you?" Like, that's more famous than we are, but it's like our thing. And people see us driving around the streets, they pull us over. "How you doing? My cousin's looking for this. I got this guy looking for that." So that's just kind of, and then it's just taken off from there as far as the golf cart goes. Now we use it in all of our marketing to Tarzana, as a brand.
So what kind of tips can you give to people that are looking to, whether they're new or they're just, changing with times with all the technology that's coming in? How can you educate people to go out there and get transactions and listings in today's kind of world?
COVID world or just technology world?
Well, I would like for you to maybe address both, specific right now to the COVID times, but just, even in general, with all the new technology that's happening.
I mean, in general, I think, like Mark and I were both brought up Mike Ferry, and it's just the grunt work that's not exciting or, pretty, but at the end of the day, it gets the work done. And the more time you put into it, it's going to have rewards at the end. It might not be immediately gratifying, but like with anything, you're going to get rewards at the end. The 10,000 hour rule, right? Mike used to say, don't even expect anything until you're at least 5 years in, as far as referrals and all that type of stuff. So you just, at some point, just rolling up your sleeves and just being dedicated to doing the same thing every day and day out. And even to this day, Mark and I pretty much go out every day assuming that we have nothing, not one thing. And that's our biggest motivator.
So diving in a little deeper on that, maybe Mark, you, if you want to jump in, and do you guys have your daily disciplines? And if so, what are those? If you could talk to us about your daily disciplines.
Well, I mean, first off, as far as going real quick back to technology and this and that, I think we're fortunate, Ken and I mean, I look at I'm an old timer in this business. I know I look like I'm 21, but I mean, I've been around for a while. So when I was trained, technology really wasn't the thing. So I learned how to work kind of guerrilla style, face-to-face marketing. And even in this type of a world where there's a lot of, Facebook and all of that, it's extremely, extremely important. And if you're not involved in that, I think you're falling far behind. And we're still learning that all the time and trying to grow that aspect of our business. Yet we've never cut loose of the basics, what we've been taught, and the face-to-face. And, you can't, getting into this business now, it's not, yes, you can post and do, but this is a face-to-face business. So we've always taken that and really apply that every single day to what we're doing. I would say for myself, as far as a daily discipline. I was a little more hardcore back when I was, regimented in the office at 8 a.m. on the phones at X time and doing this and this and this. I work a little bit differently now, and I've been in it long enough where I don't need to crack a whip on myself. I have that self-discipline to where I know what I have to do every day. I know I have to do my lead follow-up. I know that there's people in the farm, who I need to be contacting. So I think it's just waking up with that and making sure I get that done every single day.
Talk to us about you.
But if you're new, you have to have a regimented schedule, I believe, for sure.
So do you guys comfortable with maybe giving us a little bit of scripting if I ask you a question as a potential client of yours?
Yeah, there's so many different scripts too. Like we have prospecting calls, things like that. Because
specifically, if I'm a customer and I come to you and I say, hey Ken, why should I choose you and Mark to list my home?
I'll let Mark answer that. He loves answering that question.
Thank you. No, I talked to you about the commitment that we both have. Number one, we're two guys, and the way that we approach the business is a very active and aggressive approach at either A, finding them a house of their dreams, or B, getting their home sold at top dollar, and then getting into detail how we're going to do that. And really, selling them on all of the fancy technology of today and the marketing and this and that, but that kind of quote unquote grind out mentality that we have, that we just roll up our sleeves. We don't stop until the job is done. We make as many contacts as possible. If a house isn't on the market, we're going to find a way to find them that. So it's taking that kind of old school mentality in a mix with today in a very active approach at getting whatever their goals are accomplished.
I have a question. Without getting political, because we just don't discuss politics or religion or anything too heavy here.
Way to start a question.
Just curious. What is your take on it being an election year and what it's going to do for the market, to the market?
All right. Well,
go
ahead, Ken. So go ahead. I'll go after you.
In 2016, before the last election, we would actually meet with people, and it was the first time in my short career in real estate was politics really was having an effect. People were freaked out. Whoever won, it was going to freak out the other side, and it was preventing people from kind of moving forward. This time, it seems like it's been so polarized for so long that people are just doing what they need to do when it comes to real estate. My biggest concern, basically, what we're telling clients is that I don't know what things are going to look like 5 to 7 months from now, just from the fallout economically from what's going on with the COVID stuff. Like, what's it really going to look like when things do get to reopen? How many businesses go out? How many people really end up being unemployed? And how does that trickle down theory affect everything? So, but right now, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like no effect, if anything. People are over the top doing stuff right now.
So,
Right. And I try, I don't get political at all with anybody because that automatically cuts out half your audience. But, and I think for myself, I've heard more of how is COVID affecting the next 6 months as opposed to who's going to win in November. And so, yeah, like Ken said, right now, we tell them how the market is right now. I try to be as positive as possible. I don't want to, yes, small business owners can go out of business from now and, until the end of the year, and that can cause issues, but we sell them on how the market is right now and just try to be, very positive about it. And, we're, for example, on our personal spread that simple, like in our farm, we're just tripling on the things we do to let them see what we're selling, what we're listing, so there's no thought in their head. They don't have to ask us how's the market. They can see, these guys are really getting things sold right now. Market must be great. We don't have to tell them because we're showing them, type of a thing. So that's kind of the approach that I take towards it. When this whole thing happened in March, I freak out. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you ask something?
No, finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say, it's I refuse to even okay, it's happening. Let's freak out. What are we going to do to not be affected? And let's not think about it. Let's not talk about it. Let's do our masks. Let's, just be 100% positive. Just kind of like, I've always been a guy like at the end of the year when people like, let's do our year-end goals and start the year. And I get it. And I think it's an amazing thing. But I also think subconsciously in a lot of the minds of a lot of agents, it shuts you down. So you start to think come November, your whoever your mentor is or coaches or what have you, say, okay, guys, it's time to focus on the first quarter next year. What are we going to do? Let's get our numbers. And then it kind of shuts them down in November and December. So the same thing with that. I don't think of it as a year end. I don't think of it as a pandemic. I mean, it's the market is the way it is. We have masks, we have gloves. The protocols are a little different, but just keep it out of your mind and move forward. Again, demonstrate that to the world by your actions and not, you won't have to hold as many hands because they see you're out there doing it.
So let me ask you guys both. I mean, take off the realtor hat, talking to a customer, and let's assume we're just amongst friends here. Where do you honestly see the market? Just in your opinion, obviously nobody has a crystal ball, but where do you see the market in 12 months from today?
We tell them they are screwed. Sell now, they're going to lose everything they have. It's over. No, I mean, I don't know. Ken will give you his. I tell people based on, I can only go on what's happening right now. And right now we have extremely low inventory. We have amazing interest rates. That's not going to change, in my opinion, during an election year. Trump's not going to let that happen. So all of that's in place. Look how the market was before COVID. So all I can do is go off of that. And if I have to project, I think our area is holding up very well. We're seeing a lot more confidence. Everybody's shocked, probably you guys included, how well the market's doing. I know we have our company-wide meetings, and our owner, Sid, is shocked at how many escrows are being opened. And so we got to take that. And that's, if I have to project that out, I'm an optimist. I'm going to say that this is, may not just shoot to the moon, but it looks like we have a nice foundation for a solid market over the next 6+ months to a year.
Ken, do you agree with that?
Yeah, basically all I tell our clients is that at the end of the day, yeah, it's super strong right now. It's just, what's it going to look like when all this dust settles? My common sense would tell me that we're going to have to take a little bit of a hit. It doesn't make sense that we wouldn't if they're really projecting that all these businesses are going to go under and things like that. It's got to affect us eventually. I don't know how much, but common sense just tells me that it's got to a little bit.
And are you
we're seeing some of that. We're seeing some of that right now. Literally, if you take all of our inventory and draw a line, half of the stuff we're getting 15 calls a day on. And it's like, it seems like Ken has been running around, like one house over Memorial Day weekend, 17 showings, 4 or 5 offers, we sold it. He's spending his day, with the new protocol now, you have 10 showings, you got to be at a house all day long. And it seems like I'm spending the rest of the time with the sellers where nothing's happening. And we're talking them off a cliff and trying to get price reduction. So it's interesting how certain ones are just blowing out and others are sitting. So the market's good, but it's not like amazing, but it's, it's obviously a lot better than we had all thought it was going to be in March.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that it's much better than anybody expected it to be 3-4 months into this pandemic. Who knows what's going to happen down the road, and we may or may not see the effects of today's hits in 9 months from now. But are you guys preparing your business and how you interact? Are you preparing for anything, any potential pivots? Or are you just hitting the ground every day the same way and just moving forward?
Kind of like Mark said earlier, like we just, it doesn't change. Doesn't matter. It's the first of the year. We don't shut down. We're constantly going out every day like we have nothing. So every lead we have right now or everything we have going, it's like, it's all about getting it done and getting more.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We're not changing our attitude. We're not changing our desire, our persistence, and we're just going to go out and do it and refuse to believe. I have a block on negativity on news. I don't let it filter in as far as to affect my work habits and what I'm going to do. It's not going to change me.
So what does the Marc and Ken team look like in 5 years from now?
That aspect really doesn't change. It's almost like, if something if a listing's not selling right away and the clients ask you, well, what are you going to do differently? And all of a sudden we tell them all these things. And it's like, well, why weren't you doing that in the beginning then? Why would you wait until everything's so miserable? So, I mean, the only difference would be it's just refining, just doing everything we can in our client's best interest, and then just hopefully just more deals from it. That's really about it, at least from my point of view.
When you ask that, are you talking about like how we're going to grow a team, or was that where you were going?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at yourselves moving forward, I mean, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Is it bigger team? Is it your own, brand office? Is it, that's kind of where I was going with it.
Well, hopefully not fatter and balder, but as far as business goes, I don't know. We look at, there's a lot of teams. Obviously, I don't know if we consider we have a team, but there are a lot of teams that are kind of like where it's a pyramid, where they have a bunch of agents that come on. I think my video just cut off. Sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. So, we're like, there's a couple agents and then they have 10 or 15 agents working under them, kind of taking a cut. It's almost like a mini real estate company within a company. So we haven't really sat down and drafted a map of if that's the direction we're going in or not. So to answer that question, I just, I don't know. That may be something we're going to look into. But right now we're very happy with what we have. Our business still grows all the time. And I guess it's time to kind of pivot and see, can we benefit now off of really bringing in other people and having that quote unquote team and making money that way. You have to be good managers. You've got to be on top of people. So we got to look deep in ourselves and see if that's something we want to do.
Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely. So I do want to give a chance and open it up here. If anybody has a question, just either raise your hand or mark me down somehow so I can unmute you, and then you can ask your question.
There we go. Nothing ever. That's good.
You're answering everything right up front. I actually had a question that before you were gonna give it away, I was gonna ask a question regarding your marketing efforts and what other agents can maybe learn from you to apply to their own business. Things that, I'm not asking you to give away the farm, just certain things that they can apply in their own farm. Some that can be new agents, that can be old agents, again, trying to level up, trying to catch up. Anything you can think of?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. I speak at some of the offices when Mark and I are invited to speak to other agents, and Mike Ferry used to say the same thing. Like, if you're a newer agent, typically you don't have money coming into the business. So what are you going to do? You're going to do the things that are most cost effective and the least expensive. And one of those things is just door knocking and getting out there and doing the things that aren't glamorous, but they still work. And why do they work? Well, they see you're out there every day. They know you're reliable, responsible. You're there when they ask questions. And at some point, they know you're not fly by night. So they can come to you and feel confident that you can get the job done and you're not going anywhere. As far as the stuff we do, it's the same thing. We do basically really what other agents doing, but it's the other non-glamorous stuff that really, at least for us, that's what makes the difference. And that's just, and I know it sounds stupid, but that's like Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Matthew Ferry type stuff.
Yeah, backing that, there's, look, we've all been doing this a long time. There's no magic pill. I honestly, there might be something someone does slightly differently, or, this or that or whatever, but you're not going to find one guy out of 10,000 real estate agents that has this magic pill that no one else knows about. And for me, there's just one word, and that's called consistency. Whatever you're doing, be consistent about, especially if you're farming. For newer agents, that's why they call it farming. You're planting a seed and you got to wait for the crop to grow. You can't expect anything to happen overnight. But whatever you're doing, if you're talking to your past clients, if you're doing social media, consistency, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Look for 3 or 4 different avenues to attract business. Don't put it all on the social media. Don't just go, I'm only going to work expireds. I'm only going to farm. because you're pigeonholing yourself. You've got to have a little bit everywhere, and then you'll find you won't have those as many ups and downs in your business, and be consistent with all of whatever you're going to apply to. Speechless?
Fire away. I see a question there.
Hi.
Hi.
So I work a lot of mostly sellers and builders. And for me, I feel like I'm not a farm agent. I'm more accustomed to my sellers. So do you feel that open houses are going to open up again? I don't care about the showings, doing it through Lockbox and all that, but I feel like I also get a lot of business from neighbors and when I'm able to sit open houses. So do you see that changing?
I mean, eventually it's going to open back up. Eventually it's going to open back up. And I think if you're, you know, my belief on open, like what you just said, the reason you're doing open houses, you want to meet neighbors, and that's fantastic if you're doing that. And when you do it, be very aggressive, promote yourself. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen not this year. I wouldn't think. I mean, they're looking at, if the numbers go up for the next 2 weeks, they're going to shut us down again. So God willing, that doesn't happen. But I think if that's, that's hard, because if that's a main source of your business right now, and I know a lot of agents that are suffering because they love open houses, they really get business. If that's where you've got to find other ways to get that, meet sellers or meet buyers, because you meet a lot of buyers through open houses. And I would probably shift a lot towards social media. You can also, which are you with, Keller? Which company are you with? Which company are you with?
With Power Brokers, but I'm a truck partner.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, if you're with a company, there's agents you may know that are busy agents, and they love to pass off buyers and get referral fees. So I think you got to start looking at creative ways to try and get more buyers right now. And that's what I told a couple newer agents that are like, what do I do now? I can't do open houses. It's like, get to some agents that have buyers that may.
I think you might be up in the hills and you have limited service. I think that's
sense.
Cut out.
But also like getting back to that type of stuff too, like beginning with Mike Ferry, they're really big on cold calling, and I know people cringe at that, and I used to as well. But at least now we know people are going to be home to answer their phone, so you're just making these calls, and if you have a script to go off and you're giving them information that they want to hear right now because they're stuck at home. Hey, you're just looking for that. You're not worried about the 10 that keep hanging up on you. You're worried about you want the ones like, oh, hey, that's pretty cool. I didn't even, that's the one you're looking for. So it just takes a bunch of calls to get to that person, but they're there.
Speaking of cringing, I have a question in regards to door knocking. And a lot of agents are terrified, to door knock. Because they're terrified of having the door slammed in their face, or what happens if whatever. What's your take on that?
I mean, I used to be terrified of door knocking as well too, because I like being on the phone. Then it switched where I couldn't stand being on the phone. I like door knocking. The door knocking thing I like now because you're face to face with them. And look, everybody has a bad day, so yeah, they might slam. We have a great example, Mark and I. We door knocked on somebody's house one time in our farm, and she screamed at us, yelled at us to get off her property, all this stuff. And I want to say it might have been 12 months, but it could have been 6 months as well. She called us up to represent her daughter. So she yelled at us one day to get off her property, and within a year, she was calling us up to represent her daughter on the purchase of a home. Or her son and daughter-in-law.
Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay, so door knocking also, it depends on what you're doing. Are you door knocking a farm where it's a much more casual, hey, it's Mark and Ken, just, your realtor stopping by, hand them a notepad, they ask you questions. Gets easier, obviously, when you're knocking the same doors on a farm and they begin to know you and they look through your people and say, hey, it's Mark and Ken, and they open the door and a conversation happens, as opposed to knocking on an expired door or a for sale by owner's door where it's a hard sell face to face. I mean, that's you've got to have that right, mentality, to do that, and a good mindset going in. But nothing to be scared about door knocking in a farm. It's just conversation. That's all it is.
Okay.
Not a hard sell. It's just a meet and greet. Over time, they get to know you.
I do understand though that I've heard when I do talk to the other offices, a lot of the the women are, going up to a door by themselves. It is kind of a different
Yes.
mindset. So that's something that obviously we can't change, but
And I think too, people feel agents have in their own mind, if they knock on someone's door, they're kind of intruding or annoying. And you have to get that out of your head, because if you go up to a door with that mentality, someone's going to answer the door without reaction. You get what you're thinking about and what's in your head. So don't think like that. We're giving a great service. You're just knocking on doors, saying hello. 99% of the time, they're going to be friendly. The one time that they're not, big deal. Like Ken said, they called us a year later to list the daughter. I mean, in one ear and out the other if they get angry at you. That's being in sales. You've got to, it's just part of the biz.
So what's your take on third-party partnerships, like specific escrow companies, lenders, title? Is that something that's important to you, to your business? Is that something that
you mean as a business generation tool?
Both as a business generation tool and as a value add to your existing customers?
Well, it's 100% a value add to existing customers, because you want them to help you out with the minutia. And if they're very professional, if the title officers are professional, the escrow people, when your clients have interactions with them, it just is a great reflection on you. If they're not, it's a negative reflection on you. As far as third-party companies that you can hire to generate business for you, personally, myself and Ken, we haven't had much luck. We've tried those things, and it sounds good, but if they were able to generate that much business, they would be doing it for themselves, type of thing. That's my belief.
Right. I agree with that. Chuck?
Question. So you guys were both with Mike Ferry, getting coached by Mike Ferry. When I started, I don't know, at some point, not started, but about 7-8 years ago, when I transitioned from loans to actual real estate, Bert Backman and I were doing a lot of the objection and rebuttals, a lot of the script, the Mike Ferry script. All day we used to listen to that stuff. We slowly transitioned to Tom Ferry, okay?
Right.
Mike Ferry's son. What are your thoughts on, I don't know if it's even fair to ask, because I know you've been with Mike Ferry for so long, but what are your thoughts on the two strategies, the two school of thought with them?
Well, definitely Tom is 100. I haven't really been involved in coaching for a while now. I was coached out of my mind. And at some point I felt like I had to fly the coop, and put my own personality. I think I was a little too robotic, and I needed to get my own personality going into it. Anyway, but Tom is fabulous as far as the next generation, all the social media, and he's taking that to the next level. So I if I were newer today in the business, personally,
he's definitely more energetic. We know that.
Yeah. No, and he's just more in tune with the social media and the younger generation of buyer, which, and Mike is a little more onto the hardcore, which is great, because Mike builds, I wouldn't have anything, Mike Ferry is my real estate father, basically. He taught me the foundation of real estate that I still reference back to everything I've ever learned. And that gave me that solid foundation to go out on my own and do my thing, incorporating those things. So you can pick and choose what you like about each individual person. But overall, I think Tom is better suited for where the world is going now. And Mike would probably shoot me in the head for saying that, but it's true.
Well, I agree with you. I think they're both fantastic, but just like you said, I think Tom is just more in tune with the younger agents that are, they're not as comfortable with maybe cold calling or door knocking. They're comfortable with, drip campaigns, email blasts, all the different things that he does. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
And at the end of the day, you just have to do what they tell you to do as well, because, our coach, this guy, Steve Powers, used to tell us, like, look, what are you paying me for if you're not going to listen to what I'm telling you to do? You might as well just not pay me and not do anything. So, also with, with the different coaches out there and stuff like that, you tend to go to people that you like, that you have some type of connection with, for the most part. I'm sure there's, other exceptions, but so if you like someone, hopefully you're going to listen to what they're telling you to do. So, you know, it doesn't matter who it's with. So it could be Mike, it could be Matthew, it could be Tom, but as long as you're doing what they're telling you to, you're going to get results.
Yeah. So having your coach tell you, you know, if you're not going to listen to me, you know, what are you paying me for? It's the same conversation I had with my workout coach. We haven't talked in weeks.
For sure.
All
That's
right.
right.
We're going to do the weekly wins because we're just hitting 30, 40 minutes. And obviously, we always want to respect everyone's time. Leo, how about you go first today?
So weekly win. I'm actually gonna keep it personal and not business, just because there's so much that has happened in this last week from all different aspects, and I'm involved in a lot of nonprofit organizations. So one very small win is the LAUSD was about to pass a curriculum for students that was going to be very anti-Semitic, very anti-Israel, and it literally was about to pass. It's not a win yet, but we were able to push the vote back to the end of August, and we are fighting very hard to get the board from LAUSD to side with us and wait until the new curriculum comes out. So something that we've been fighting on, and we at least didn't lose. So that's our win.
That's good.
Nice.
Very.
Who else would like to share a win? Anybody, whether it's business or personal, something that was positive this week? Would like to finish?
I was telling Ken earlier about the win that could be, you know, getting a new listing, getting a new escrow, or being able to stay away from a cupcake. It could be anything. So I'll go next. I'll go next if you'd like.
Wait. Hold on. Save that thought. Bella's raising her hand. Let's unmute. Go ahead, Bella.
Hi, guys. You know, I will say I've been in a really great, grateful state. I say my win is being that I came here from Maui about almost actually a month. I just moved back home from Maui after being there for 4 years and thought I can just kick ass with Pilates. And I just feel like I got this win-win with being placed into this business, working as a processor with a gentleman who I just really enjoy working with. And I just feel like I got a win-win in the meantime, that something that I also get to grow and build on top of being a Pilates instructor. So I just feel like I'm in the right place, and I get to, you know, do what I do best and learn and create and build.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing that. Who else do we? I think Katie, I may have seen you raise your hand. I may have not. Did you have something to share?
I actually had a question for the team, for the guys. But is it too late?
No, it's not too late. Please go ahead.
I had a question. A lot of agents, real estate agents, and businessmen in general, they have a person who, you know, who inspires them, who they're looking up to, who you know, who pushes them and inspires them. So I just had a question if they had such a person, and if they do, who's that person?
My 10-year-old son. He's my inspiration to get out and do everything every day. And Ken inspires me. Woohoo!
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have our reasons for doing what we're doing and why we have to do them. It could be financially, emotionally, psychologically, whatever. But, you know, things like this, it's the same thing. You know, who knows, someone might say something on this right here that's like, whoa, I never even thought about that. That's like a little nugget, a little thing that you just took out of this for today that changes your mindset. So it could come from reading something, watching a movie, a TV, a cartoon. I mean, you never know where that's going to come from. For me, there's a couple of guys that I really like. One of the guys, his name is Les Brown. I don't know if anybody here has ever heard of him, but he's amazing. He's this, I think he's like 75 now. He's this black pastor, but he was born in an abandoned building, and him and his twin brother were left. His mother had them, dropped them on the floor, and walked out of the building. And they were found by this woman. She raised them. And his whole concept is like, look, life's not fair. It just is. It's not fair that the birds eat the worms, but they do. And, you know, if you can get that in your head, like, hey, it's not fair, but I'm still going to do this and I'm going to do that, that's huge. So he's awesome. And he's really easy to listen to. He's got a ton of stuff on YouTube and you can watch him. He's funny and really, really personable. And there's a ton of people out there like that. But it could be anybody. It could be anybody that says something. That's takes you to that next level somehow.
Yeah.
Probably not the answer you're looking for, but it's kind of that simple. You never know.
But it's true. We learn every day, and that's the purpose of doing these kind of things, and really getting out there and networking in general. Is sometimes you can go to a coach and hear the same thing over and over again, but each time you catch something different out of it. So
and for me now too, when I do something like this with you guys, it's like just hearing myself say it. It reminds me of all the stuff that I'm actually not doing. So that's inspiration for me to stop just saying it and actually do it. Sometimes even just having somebody hold you accountable is great too. Because this whole time, I'm proud of myself because Mark's wife, Freedom, has been texting me not to curse, and I didn't once the whole time. So that's my win for the week too, as well.
Nice. All right. Do we have anybody else that wants to share?
I'll share my win. Sold a fixer in 5 hours in Granada Hills.
Good job.
5 hours, it was unbelievable. Got the contract. 5 hours later, it was sold.
That's a beautiful thing.
That was a hell of a deal. So good job on that.
Now you got to get the next one going.
Always next one.
Yes, there you go.
It's your board. Doesn't stop.
I gotta tell him that.
So I'd like to thank Mark and Ken for joining us. Mark,
Thank you guys
for making.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah. Ken, same to you. Thank you so much for working your schedule and make this work. And keep up the good work. Keep up doing what you're doing. I mean, Mike, I have clients that doesn't matter which property I take them to. Mark and Ken somehow the listing agent. So
holy moly.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Yeah, we don't mind keeping it like that. That's not a problem.
Keep it up. Yeah. So, and again, thank you so much for being here and joining us. Any final words, Lior?
No, I want to just really thank everybody for taking the time. We keep seeing a lot of the same faces come back. So thank you for being part of this. Next week, we're going to be here, same time, same place. We'll bring some more information. And again, Mark and Ken, it doesn't go unnoticed that you take time out of your day. We know how busy you guys are. So thank you for sharing with us and joining us on this episode.
Cool.
And that's it. We'll see everybody same place, same time next week.
Thank you all.
Wish me luck, guys. I got Frank from Flux Environmental. We're going into a mold inspection now. So fingers crossed, everybody.
Good luck. Wear a mask.
Luck.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you.